The culmination of the soul's constant touch with the Supreme is that self-giving which we call surrender to the divine will and emergence of the separated ego in the one who is all. A vast universality of soul, an intense unity with all, is the base and fixed condition of the supramental consciousness and spiritual life. In that universality and unity alone can we find the supreme law of the divine manifestation in the life of the embodied spirit. In that alone can we discover the supreme motion and right play of our individual nature. In that alone can all these lower discords resolve themselves into a victorious harmony of the true relations between manifested beings who are portions of the one Godhead and children of one universal mother. So, that's it. So, the culmination of the soul's constant touch with the Supreme is a total surrender, what she is calling. Okay? And not only surrender, but you immerse, you melt yourself into the divine consciousness. Immersion, emergence, he said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emergence.
Yeah. Emergence is coming out and immerge is to go in. So you are going into the universal consciousness. And the separated ego disappears. And the one who is all. And when you do that, a vast universality of soul, an intense unity with all, is the base and fixed condition of the supramental consciousness and spiritual life. So, an intense unity with all is a cosmic consciousness.
It's a very, very important line.
Yeah. You feel yourself to be one with everybody, and also you feel sometimes that everybody is in you. Okay? That's a cosmic consciousness. So, unity alone can we find the supreme law of the divine manifestation in the life of the embodied spirit. He is using the word in that alone 3 times. So, you get total power, ananda, everything, and you get the culmination of the soul's constant touch is in the supermind, obviously. That's basically what he's saying. And when you go there, can all the lower discords resolve themselves. The lower discords, the dualities in the physical world. Love, hate, knowledge, ignorance, hot, cold, all these things become harmonious at the highest level. Okay? So, it's very clear what he's saying. So,
Very clear.
Yeah. So, we can go to the next
Yes.
para. Okay, so all conduct and action are part of the movement of a power, a force infinite and divine in its origin and secret sense and will, even though the forms of it we see seem inconscient or ignorant, material, vital, mental, finite, which is working to bring out progressively something of the divine and infinite in the obscurity of the individual and collective nature. This power is leading towards a light, but still through the ignorance. It leads man first through his needs and desires. It guides him next through enlarged needs and desires, modified and enlightened by a mental and moral ideal. It is preparing to lead him to a spiritual realization that overrides these things and yet fulfills and reconciles them in all that is divinely true in their spirit and purpose. It transforms the needs and desires into a divine will and ananda. It transforms the mental and moral aspiration into the powers of truth and perfection that are beyond them. It substitutes for the divided straining of the individual nature For the passion and strife of the separative ego, the calm, profound, harmonious, and happy law of the universalized person within us, the central being, the spirit that's a portion of the Supreme Spirit. This true person in us, because it is universal, does not seek its separate gratification, but only asks in its outward expression in nature, its growth to its real stature, the expression of its inner divine self, that transcendent spiritual power and presence within it, which is one with all, and in sympathy with each thing and creature, and with all the collective personality and powers of the divine existence. And yet, it transcends them and is not bound by the egoism of any creature or collectivity, or limited by the ignorant controls of their lower nature. This is the high realization in front of all our seeking and striving, and it gives a sure promise of a perfect reconciliation and transmutation of all the elements of our nature. A pure, total, and flawless action is possible only when that is effected and we have reached the height of the secret Godhead within us. That's a para. So, he's talking about the four standards of conduct. He's very clearly saying that. So, we'll see what they are. Okay, so all conduct and action are part of the movement of a power, a force infinite and divine in its origin, and secret sense and will, even though the forms of it we see seem inconscient or ignorant, material, mental, vital, finite, which is working to bring out progressively something of the divine and infinite in the obscurity of the individual and collective nature. So, many things to be discussed here. First of all, he is saying that all our individual effort is only part of the grand effort of the divine in the physical world. Our action is only a very small part contributing to the action of the divine in the physical world.
But he says it's a power and a force.
Yes, that's right. A power and a force. No, he's not saying and. He's saying movement of a power and a force infinite and divine in its origin. So, force and power would probably be the same, okay?
Yes.
But it's infinite and divine in its origin, and secret sense and will. So, that's his thing. First of all, he's saying, just like the wave is part of the sea. So, our action, our thought, and our emotions are all part of the vast, infinite ocean. Okay? That's what he's saying. Although we seem, okay, it seems to be inconscient. Okay? All the forms that we see here, all our thoughts, everything may be ignorant, mechanical, unconscious, but it's only a seeming. That's what he's saying. All these physical things that we see are not the reality. There is a reality which is behind them, and that is creating this, okay, which is working to bring out progressively something of the divine and infinite in the obscurity of the individual and collective nature. Now that's also something that we have to note very carefully. There is an individual nature and there is a collective nature. There is in the collective, the universal, there is matter, and our individual matter is the body. So our body is only part of universal matter. Similarly, our vital is only a small part of the universal force, the universal prana. Okay? That's exactly in the same way again, the mind, our mind is a small formation of the universal mind. Okay? So there is an individual and collective nature. It's like the wave in the sea. The wave is not separate from the sea. It's part of the sea. Okay, so that's what he's saying. This power is leading towards a light. still through the ignorance. We see everything in the physical world is imperfect, but there is a slow evolution upwards, and this force of the divine is guiding that evolution upwards. That's what he's saying. Okay? This power which he spoke about is leading towards the light, but still through the ignorance. It leads man first through his needs and desires. This is the first standard of conduct. It leads man first through his needs and desires. Whatever he needs and whatever he desires, the ego, that's the first standard of conduct. It guides him next through the enlarged needs and desires modified and enlightened by mental and moral ideal. That's the next one. So, the next one is a morality. Morality guides man also, but imperfectly, but that's the third one. And he is preparing to lead him to a spiritual realization that overrides these things and yet fulfills and reconciles them in all that is divinely true in their spirit and purpose. That's the fourth one. Okay, so he has not spoken about the second one, which is the social conduct. Okay, so it transforms the needs and desires into a divine will and ananda. So, at the last level, all the needs and desires that we have, it changes it into a divine will and ananda. Okay? It transforms the mental and moral aspiration into the powers of truth and perfection. Okay? Our mental aspiration becomes truth and our moral aspiration becomes perfection. That are beyond them, that are beyond the mental and the moral. It substitutes for the divided straining of the individual nature, for the passion and strife of the separative ego, the calm, profound, harmonious and happy law of the universalized person within us. The universalized person is one who has no ego and he feels himself to be not situated anywhere. He is there everywhere. Okay? He is not situated in time and space. That's the cosmic consciousness. Universalized person is the cosmicized person, if you want. Okay? The central being. When Srivastava speaks about the central being, he is talking about the self and the psychic being, the central being, as opposed to our body, life and mind. The spirit, that is a portion of the Supreme Spirit. Okay? Our being, our spiritual existence is nothing but a small portion of the Supreme Spirit. You can say our individual soul is a small part of the universal soul. You can say that. This true person in us, this true person, not the PCAP person, that's a real person in us, either the psychic being or the self. Because it is universal, does not seek its separate gratification, but only asks in its outward expression in nature its growth to its real stature. So, the true person in us, either the psychic or the self, has no needs. Its only need is growth into the divine consciousness. That's what he's saying. The expression of its inner divine self, that transcendent spiritual power and presence within it, which is one with all, and in sympathy with each thing and creature, and with all the collective personality and powers of the divine existence. So, again is saying, when you are one with all, again that's a cosmic consciousness. Okay? So, and in sympathy with each thing, we don't feel enmity towards anybody. There's no hate, there's only love and sympathy. That's in the third level, the spiritual level, with each thing and creature, and with all the collective personality and powers of the divine existence, and yet it transcends them and is not bound by the egoism of any creature or collectivity, or limited by the ignorant controls of the lower nature. You, in this last stage of the spiritual evolution, you reach a place where there is no ego, you feel yourself to be one with everybody, and there is only love, and there is no division. There is absolutely nothing that can disturb you at all. Okay? This is the high realization in front of all our seeking and striving, and it gives the sure promise of a perfect reconciliation and transmutation of all the elements of our nature. Which are the elements of our nature? Our body, our life, our mind, as well as the inner mind, inner vital, inner body. A pure, total and flawless action is possible only when that is effected and we have reached the height of the secret Godhead within us. Only when you go to the supramental level, then there is perfect harmony and perfection can be reached in all the members of the individual. Before that, your action will be flawed and it will be partial. It can never be full. That's what he's saying. Okay?
Let's do the next para.
Okay. So, the perfect supramental action will not follow any single principle or limited rule. It is not likely to satisfy the standard either of the individual egoist or of any organized group mind. It will conform to the demand neither of the positive practical man of the world, nor of the formal moralist, nor of the patriot, nor of the sentimental philanthropist, nor of the idealizing philosopher. It will proceed by a spontaneous outflowing from the summits in the totality of an illumined and uplifted being, will and knowledge, and not by the selected, calculated and standardized action, which is all that the intellectual reason or ethical will can achieve. Its sole aim will be the expression of the divine in us and the keeping together of the world and its progress towards the manifestation that is to be. The manifestation that is to be. This even will not be so much an aim and purpose as a spontaneous law of the being and an intuitive determination of the action by the light of the divine truth and its automatic influence. It will proceed like the action of nature from a total will and knowledge behind her, but a will and knowledge enlightened in a conscious supreme nature and no longer obscure in its ignorant prakriti. It will be an action not bound by the dualities, but full and large in the Spirit's impartial joy of existence. The happy and inspired movement of a divine power and wisdom, guiding and impelling us, will replace the perplexities and stumblings of the suffering and ignorant ego. So that's what he's saying. The perfect supramental action will be, it will not be anything fixed. It will not subscribe to any fixed philosophy, nor to any morality, nor to any ideas that may come from the group mind or individual minds. It will be totally free. That's what he's saying. It will not be bound by anything. Neither its knowledge nor its action will ever be bound by anything. Okay, so